Good day everyone, I am AzureBlaze, and over a year ago I released the first video in what would become a series ranking every stage in the Halo franchise, bar the arcade game. However, I never finished as I had one game remaining to rank with the rest. However, I have been dreading to do Halo Infinite. It's mainly because when looking at the game, it's a fair amount less mission based than previous games, by what I can see. I understand that I should probably look at everything separately, however I decided to rank only what would be considered the chapters, I guess. That's like where the missions have been placed into within the game itself. However, I'm only taking into account the story sections because that is the main part of the campaign that I am ranking. Therefore no fob bases or anything like that. Therefore, when I go to do my ranking in a second, the first thing I guess I would consider a mission, or I guess it is a chapter in this case, however I'm going to call them missions, would be Ringfall. That'd be the first one. Anyway, with everything out of the way, I present the ranking of every Halo Infinite stage in a tier list. Okay, Ringfall consists of, I guess, 3 different missions in this one chapter that I'm now calling missions for some reason. Anyway, yeah, it starts with a ship that you jump into at the start and you have to go through and everything like that, battling all the different banished. And yeah, it's quite a fun place to be, I think. Like, for a first mission, I think it's pretty good. It's very tutorialized because it's basically the tutorial of how to play the game. However, it is quite a good start mission. I think it's fun that Halo games tend to, for some reason, start on ships and or space stations for some reason most of the time, except for Halo 3 and Halo 5. if we're including the FPS games anyway. However, I guess, yeah, the ship escape is possibly my favorite set piece of the entire game. Like, running, like, making sure you jump over different things while the ship is being scuttled and all that sort of thing. I think that is really, really fun. Best set piece in the game, in my opinion. After that, you move down to the surface to collect the weapon and battle through enemies. It's a pretty simple indoor section, and you're basically battling to get to Outpost Tremonius, which is the first place out on the ring that you get to. Before you can get up the elevator in Outpost Tremonius, however, you have to battle Tremonius himself, which I think is pretty funny. Why did I say it's pretty funny? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I think it's pretty fun, is what I meant to say. And yeah, I think this whole Ringfall itself is probably the most Halo feeling, like, set of levels in the entire game, to be honest. And yeah, no, I quite enjoy it, to the point where it is going in Legendary tier above Under the Dark and below Blue Team. Lockdown basically starts you after Outpost Tremonius and all that sort of thing. You have to go to an forward, or I can't speak for some reason, a forward operating base, and you get a tutorial there on it, and to be honest, it is really slow and takes way too long, and it's especially noticeable when you're replaying it, because you've done it before. Like, you've done many forward operating bases in that time frame if you've played through the game and then come back to replay it again. And yeah, it is really, really slow, to be honest. And then, yeah, once that's done, however, you move to the tower. The tower itself is okay. I like that there's like a battle outside before you get inside, battle some enemies in there, and then you have a boss battle against probably the most polite elite I have ever met in a Halo game. I guess I haven't met him personally, however, Chief's ever met, and that is Chaklock. Although he's not very much of a nice guy. Anyway, yeah, the boss battle against Chaklock is pretty okay. You're basically learning how to use it's a boss battle set on the fact that he's invisible a lot of the time, and you can use your sensor to find him and everything like that. Yeah, it's that type of boss. However, you know, it's okay. However, I think because of that slow FOB section, which is way too slow in my opinion, I'm going to place the chapter in Noble tier at the bottom below Unconfirmed. Connections involves getting to basically what is like a mining quarry little type thing, big mining quarry type thing, with a big old laser drill going into the side of the mountain because you want to go down there. Therefore, yeah. Anyway, first things sort of first is you have to take out the mining laser. You go up to turn it off, and there's like power supply thingies, power relays, I think that's what they're called. They have to go take out first. Sort of a little like fetch, not really a fetch quest, however, like, yeah, you gotta, it feels like it's like elongating the mission a little bit, however, it's not too bad, I don't think. And then when you go back up to take out the laser again, you have a boss battle against Bassus, which is a pretty, I guess, basic boss battle, however, it's pretty fun as well. Yeah, you're sort of stuck in a smaller room where he's got a gravity hammer and it's a lot more difficult to avoid him because of that. However, if you use the grapple hook enough, you fly around him basically. And after that you go underground where the laser was firing into the conservatory. You get some story and meet the skimmers, which is, I like the skimmers, they're pretty fun. Anyway, there is a little bit of 2 brute chieftains with shields and scrap cannons before the elevator in the conservatory. They're kind of they're not the most fun to battle, especially on harder difficulties. They take a little while. However, like, they're okay. There's nothing too terribly wrong with them. However, like, yeah, they're a little bit problematic for when it comes to how long it takes to take them out. Then you meet the Harbinger, move towards the Spire, and before you get in the Spire, you have a frustrating hunter battle, especially on higher difficulties, because they took the hunters from Halo 5. That's a whole thing on its own right, and they're a lot more difficult to take out in this game than they probably should be, and a lot more difficult to, I guess, battle against in general. Yeah, you move through the Spire, you have a boss battle against Adjutant Resolution, or Adjutant Resolution, that's how you said, sorry. Which, yeah, it's not too bad. I don't mind the Adjutant Resolution battles in this game because, like, oh yeah, I guess there's more battles coming up. However, I don't mind them because, like, they're somewhat a little bit more fun. There's a lot more to them than simply firing the whole time. I mean, you're firing the whole time, however, you have to, like, specifically fire in specific spots and all that sort of thing. It's quite fun. And, yeah. Otherwise, yeah, no, this, I guess, the biggest thing with this is sometimes it's a little bit slow for what it is, especially when you have, like, again, those brute chieftains and those hunters. However, I do quite enjoy the level overall. Therefore, I think I shall place it in the bottom of Legendary, below Operation Frostbite. Yeah, graveyards, which is, I guess, what they consider in the area. I always know this one is Pelican Down because there's only one mission inside this section, and that is Pelican Down. And yeah, Pelican Down or Graveyards, whatever it wants to be called for this list, I guess. It wants to be called? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it is great. It is probably my favorite mission in the entire game. I love this mission, and I can see why they chose this one to be the show for the demo, even though the demo looked a little rough at the time. However, honestly, it is my favorite. You basically, there's 3 spires that you have to take down, basically AA cannons to stop you from escaping. Basically, you have to go take down each spire individually, which the way the terrain is built, the terrain is built around the spires and everything like that. They're fun. It's fun to traverse. It's fun to look over everything, and I think it's fun to get to the spires. You sort of end off with a boss battle against Hyperius and Tavares. They're a little bit unexplained in the game. They sort of show up. Hyperius has Locke's helmet on his shoulder and it's never explained, I guess. However, yeah, you have a battle against them. They're probably the weakest part of, like, Graveyards as a whole. However, they're really fun anyway. Like, one of them's on, like, a chopper that you can steal and use against them and all that sort of thing. It has, like, red blades that come out of the side of it. That's really fun. Yeah, they're not too bad. And yeah, it's probably my favorite mission in the game overall. Therefore, I think I shall place it in Mythic tier, below the Covenant and above Swords of St. Helios. Now for Reformation. The first thing you sort of do is you battle into the Command Spire, another Spire. However, it does look fairly different inside and all that sort of thing, therefore it's not like reusing or anything like that. I guess it's like reusing some materials and all that sort of thing. However, like it feels different enough from the first Spire, which therefore it doesn't really, it's not too bad. Yeah, you battle into the Command Spire, you can't really get into it, therefore you have to traverse it out to 4 different beacons, battle to access the beacon and gain data to reconstruct a Forerunner sequence. Then you use that to enter the Command Spire, battle way through the base of the Spire. Yeah, it's pretty good overall until there. You get to a grav lift, which this grav lift is a very long ride for some reason. I think it might be longer than Halo 4's one. And Halo 4's one had some nice stuff to look at, even if Halo 4's one was longer. However, this is like, you're in a generic looking Forerunner room going up for ages. Anyway, anyway. You have another battle against Adjutant Resolution, which is fairly similar to the one before, therefore it's not too bad. You have a small battle before the end cutscene. Therefore, I think, yeah, it's a fairly basic, like, overall package of levels, or missions, or whatever. However, they're pretty good. And they're like, okay good. Yeah, there's nothing, like, horrible about them. And I think that's the same thing with, like, all the missions in this entire game, is I don't consider them, any of them, horrible, I don't think. I don't think any of them are going to... Yeah, I don't think any of them end up in the bottom 2 tiers at all. Simply because, like, yeah, they're all pretty fun in their own right, basically. I don't think I have any that end up in Majestic or in Osiris tier. However, yeah, back to what I was going to do with this one. I think Reformation shall sit in Noble tier, below Assault on the Control Room, and above the Halo from Halo Wars 2.
Look at this mess!
Now, the Reckoning is a really good level as well. A really good set of levels as well, in my opinion. First things first, you enter the repository. You battle you battle your way through it whilst learning about what happened to Cortana and the weapon's origin, which is pretty good for story. The road, which is the next part of the set of stages, is really fun. It's such a fun part, mainly when you're using the tank in the tank section. However, I think the main problem with the road is it can be bypassed if you wanted to walk around it, because that's the nature of this game. It's really open. You can walk around it, I guess. However, I do like the tank section. It is pretty fun. You then enter the House of Reckoning, where Jaeger, Odomni, and Escherem are. A strange wave-like type of battles is it sort of plays out in reconstructions of battlefields, which, although those reconstructions are inside the building, that is kind of strange. However, like, I think it's okay. I think it's pretty okay. You have a boss battle with Jaeger, who is basically like Chaklock's boss battle, however, better. I say better, it's like more advanced version of Chaklock's boss battle. I'm not gonna lie, I did find it the tiniest bit underwhelming compared to what I thought it was gonna be, although I think that's because I built up Jaeger's boss fight to be really big beforehand. It's quite fun, however, I feel it could have been even more in saying that. However, yeah. Anyway, then you move on to what is my favorite boss battle in the game, which is Escherem's boss battle. He jumps around, he has his energy mace and a scrap cannon inside a building. The pilot is not very happy in a shield, and Escherem keeps covering himself with a shield, his own shield, and you have to break all the power relays to get through, whilst, yeah, making sure the pilot's fine type thing. You know, I really like that, that boss battle. I think it is probably, yeah, definitely my favorite. I like that you have to, like his shield adds, like, another layer to the combat. Like, it's not simply you're firing at him for the sake of firing at him. There's points where you can't fire at him because of his shield. Therefore, you have to go find a way to take down his shield without getting hit by him in the process. I think that is great. I like Chief and Escherem's exchange in the end, before Escherem, you know, yeah, Chief saves the pilot. I think this probably could be the best stage. However, there are some slower parts that bring it below Graveyards for myself, and I think, yeah, the Jaeger battle I think could have done more, personally. I think it was good, however, I think it could have done more. There is slower parts. I think sometimes the waves take a little bit too long on the reconstructions and all that sort of thing. However, I do really enjoy this level overall, and I think I shall place it in Mythic tier, below Swords of St. Helios and above the Foundry. And the final chapter is Endless, or Silent Auditorium, if someone wants to call it that, because it's another one that only consists of one mission. However, basically what you do, it's a pretty simple, smaller stage, I guess. You battle you battle your way through the auditorium. It has a somewhat underwhelming boss battle against the Harbinger with waves of enemies. The biggest problem during these waves of enemies is on the last wave, there's a Brute Chieftain who is way more difficult than I feel he needs to be. I don't know why I struggled for such a long time with this chieftain. I feel like he's more of a boss than most of the bosses in this game. It's amazing. This one chieftain and the Harbinger. Yeah, I think the Harbinger boss battle itself was somewhat underwhelming. I think they probably had a little bit of difficulty trying to figure out what the Harbinger could actually do. Like for a lot of it, therefore the Harbinger mostly teleports around and everything like that while the waves come out and do everything. You take out the waves, then you take out the Harbinger more. Rinse and repeat. Yeah, that last boss, the last wave with the chieftain, that is horrible though. On heroic, I had way too much difficulty trying to do that, and I'm dreading getting to it when I finish the game on legendary. I am like halfway through the game, I think. Anyway, yeah, no, I think, yeah, he's really difficult. However, the level itself is pretty okay overall, I think. However, nothing like amazing. This is probably the one that I would put closest to Majestic tier. However, I do think it is good enough to stay out of Majestic tier personally. Therefore, I think it shall be placed in Noble tier at the bottom, below Lockdown. Alrighty, that is all 126 stages from the Halo games. I guess you can only count it as 126 because of the way I counted the Halo Infinite stages. However, I guess it would be more like 134 or something like that. And again, I haven't included the arcade game. This is only what I've counted from my list. This is the 126 stages from my list of the Halo games. Anyway, I think sometime after this video, I shall probably upload an updated version of this list that looks a lot neater and nicer to my community tab. Oh yeah, I'm going to redesign a little bit of it and make it look a lot nicer and a lot easier to read the text in general. Like, when watching a video, you can see, like, because I'm specifically talking about a stage and then I move it over. And yeah, I'm talking about that one specifically, therefore you know what stage it is. However, looking at this, you can't see anything. Like, like, you can see some stages, like, you can see most of the stages because they have big enough text. However, a lot of the stages are like way too tiny. Therefore, yeah, I'm gonna work all that out. I think I shall place that updated version in my community tab if anyone wants to see it. If not, it's fine. However, I am quite glad I have finally finished this series after over a year, and I'm quite excited to move on to some other ranking videos in the future. However, for now, I believe that is all from me. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I shall be back in the next one. Cheers, everyone.